Hello, this is Wicked Shrapnel, and this video is called How I Think Voting Should Work. And I'm going to revolve it around this website, isidewith.com, which I have no affiliation with. I just think it is a very cool website. And I think that anyone who is going to vote in the presidential election should visit it and take this short quiz. And basically, what it does is it'll ask you questions and you answer the questions on how you feel about the issues, and it'll tell you which candidate actually sides with your views on the issues. And so many people, I think, are uninformed on, which candidate is actually sides with their issues, and there's more than just two candidates. In America, it seems like we have a two-party system where it's Republicans and Democrats, but there are other parties which really don't get a spotlight. They're not in the presidential debates, but there are other candidates that are going to be on the ballot. And I think people will find that some of them reflect your stance on issues better than the two major candidates. So I would like you to pause this video right now and take the quiz. It's a really quick quiz, and I'll put a link in the description. And then once you're done and you've got which candidate you side with, come back and leave it in the comments. And then I'm going to answer the questions myself and give you my opinions on the answers. And then you could see how your answers sided with mine, and we could have a little civil debate in the comments if you like. So here we go. What is my stance on abortion? I think that abortion should be banned after the first trimester. That is my opinion. I think you should be able to make a decision within the first trimester, and after that, I think that the baby is developed enough that it is human, and I don't think that you should be able to have like an abortion, when you're 7 or 8 months pregnant, when the baby, even if it was delivered through a cesarean, some of them can live in an incubator and, become a life. But the really early stages, humans are basically just cells in a uterus. So I would say ban after the first trimester. And should gay marriage be allowed in the U.S.? And be sure to click on this choose other stance, because sometimes there's more specific answers that you can pick here. And I think that each state should decide whether they're going to allow it or not. And should the federal government allow the death penalty? I would say that is something to leave up to the states as well. And should the government require health insurance companies to provide free birth control? I will say yes, but you can exempt religious organizations and charities from having to require it, which goes against their beliefs. Forcing your beliefs on others, I do not think is something that I'm comfortable with. Even if I do not agree with someone's beliefs, I respect their right to believe it and not to be forced to have to do something they don't believe in. My stance on environmental issues: is global warming a threat to the environment? I will say regardless. No, let's see. So regardless, we should incentivize the private sector to develop cleaner and efficient fuels. Should we expand our offshore drilling? I will say I actually think that nationalizing energy might be a good idea, so that it's not, because if it was nationalized, this is something that I'm not very educated on, but I think nationalizing the energy sector would actually bring more affordable prices to consumers. So I'm going to go with nationalize. Although, I'm not 100% convinced on that. I could be swayed. Should the U.S. national parks and forests continue to be preserved and protected by the federal government? I will say, let each state determine. That's a lot of my answers on a lot of things. I think that each state could be looked at as like its own country that can come up with its own laws, and the federal government shouldn't mandate what every single state should do. Should the federal government continue to give tax credits and subsidies to the wind power industry? I think that subsidizing wind power is an important alternative to coal and natural gas. And this one, our economy relies on the creation of jobs and sustainable energy. We'll go with that one. And you can change the importance. None of these are really that important to me. Should the government raise the federal minimum wage? I will say adjust the wage level according to inflation. Or there's also one that says leave it up to the states. I'm going to have to go with that one. Leave it up to states. Should Congress raise the debt ceiling? And I think that's saying allow the national debt to increase by not having to restrict spending and stuff like that. So I do not think that they should raise the debt ceiling. They should cut spending or tax the rich and reduce spending. I think that like the upper 1% of the people, I was just watching videos today about like this guy that built a $5 million garage, and it's like, really, man? He had like a $250,000 chandelier. It's like, I think those people could afford to pay a little bit more taxes. That's my opinion. But also, the Federal Reserve should destroy the $1.6 trillion in government bonds. That sounds like a good option. I don't really know the ramifications of that, but I don't like the private bank, the Federal Reserve, having all this, I don't know, holding all this debt over. I think the Federal Reserve should be abolished, in my personal opinion. But I don't really know which one here. I'm just going to say destroy it in government bonds. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with this one. Should the U.S. have bailed out the major banks during the financial crisis? Well, at the time, it was really no other choice. I think regardless, we should instead enact legislation that prevents banks from becoming too big to fail. That's what I'm going to go with. Well, you can answer even more questions. Do I agree with the stimulus plan? Well, I don't know. I don't know about the stimulus plan. I know that people like spent it in ways that should have been regulated more on how they should have spent it. I don't know. I'm going to skip that question, can't I? I don't know what to vote for. I would say no for now. Should the federal government subsidize U.S. farmers? That I don't really like subsidies for that. I don't know. I'll say include small and organic farmers. Sure. Should we expand or dismantle our Social Security program? Reform. Yeah, I'll say opt in. Do you believe the 2001 and 2003 George Bush tax cuts should be extended? I'm pretty sure he extend only for those making less than $250,000. Abolish the IRS. I say get rid of income tax altogether. reform to flat tax. Abolish all income taxes. That's the one I want. And just have like a sales taxes. Should able-bodied, mentally capable adults who receive welfare be required to work? Yes. Should be. Adults who receive government benefits should be required to work. I'll just say yes, required to work. Do you support increased gun control? No. No, but increased penalties for gun-related crimes. That sounds good for me. I think that's more important. And do you support the Patriot Act? No. And pass strict laws prohibiting any government surveillance. Should the federal government regulate the internet in order to deter online piracy? I will say no. And prevent any level of government policing the internet. That's what I'm going to go with. I like my internet free. Should we limit federal funds to public schools that do not meet performance standards? I would say let the states decide. Are you in favor of decriminalization of all drugs? Well, I am not going to say that I'm pro drug use, but I don't think that people should be locked up like, there's rapists and murderers that get paroled to make room for people on drug crimes, which is just crazy. And I think that there should just be programs to rehab people that are on drugs that want to get help. Man. It says, are you in favor of decriminalizing all drugs? Yes, but not all drugs. I'm just going to say yes. But it's really not important. Do you support affirmative action programs? I will say no, but we should offer social programs to address poverty regardless of race or ethnicity. Should corporations and unions be permitted to fund a broadcast advertisement backing political candidates through political action committees? I say no. No, corporations are not people and should not be allowed to finance political campaigns. I think that's very important because a lot of the major candidates are just bought by corporations that serve their interest once they get into office. Where do you side on healthcare? Should marijuana be legalized in the U.S.? I will say it should be treated just like alcohol. Tax and regulate it just like alcohol. Do you support the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, Obamacare? Man. Mandatory single payer. I don't know. I think a lot of the people that have universal health care, like Europe and Canada, I'm down for that, so everyone has health care. Should we expand or dismantle our Medicare program? Yeah, I think the Canadian or European style. That's cool with me. Where do you side on foreign policy issues? Should the U.S. intervene in affairs of other countries? I say only in matters of national security, human rights violations, or specifically asked by the international community. That sounds good to me. Should the U.S. end the war in Afghanistan? And yes, and only approve future wars through Congress, which is how wars are supposed to be declared. Should the U.S. maintain a presence at the United Nations? I say, I don't really know. But I don't like having a UN headquarters in the U.S. I'm going to go with that. But it's not that important to me. Should the United States end its trade embargo and travel ban on Cuba? Yeah. Allow Americans to travel any country they choose. Should the U.S. continue to support Israel? I say... I think that we should not aid any foreign nations. It seems like we buy off a lot of people. So unless there's any reason for us to any kind of aid to countries, I think should be through private donations, like the Red Cross and stuff, where people donate to help out people in countries that are less fortunate. And that's the kind of aid. I think that it should be voluntary aid by its citizens to help these people. It shouldn't be your tax dollars go to support whichever places the government decides to aid. How should we deal with Iran? I say... maintain diplomacy while discouraging use of nuclear weapons. How should the U.S. handle the genocide in Sudan? Support a NATO effort to contain the Sudanese military. Should foreign terrorism suspects be given constitutional rights? I say they should be tried in military tribunals, but not subject to torture. Where do you side on immigration issues? Should children of illegal immigrants be granted citizenship? I will say... I don't know. If they want to be here and be a part of the country, this doesn't seem like a bad option. 4 years of military service or earning a college degree, then I think that you would be worthy of being a citizen. Should illegal immigrants be given access to government subsidized health care? I say only for life-threatening emergencies or infectious diseases. Should illegal immigrants working in the U.S. be granted temporary amnesty? No. I don't think that any illegal immigrants, I mean, if you want to come to the United States, you should have to go through the proper channels. I mean, they allow people are allowed to immigrate to the U.S. and there's, proper channels to do that. And I would say find companies that employ illegal immigrants. Where do you side on science issues? Do you believe in the theory of evolution? Yes. Should the federal government fund stem cell research? Yes. Should the United States increase our space exploration efforts and budget? Yes. All right. Show my results. So here's 6 different candidates it's picking from. And survey says Gary Johnson, I sided with 71%. This is part of the Libertarian Party. Jill Stein, 65%. Barack Obama 58%, Mitt Romney 43%. So that is the order in which my survey came out. And I don't know, if people had to vote this way, it's like, well, I didn't even know who Gary Johnson is. So I don't know. Wouldn't that be something if you had to go into a voter booth and actually vote on issues like that, where you stood on the issues instead of going in and voting for a particular person? So I think that would be a better system, because so many people will just go in and vote the party line. They'll be like, I'm voting Democrat or I'm voting Republican, even though the person they're voting for might not side with them on all the issues, like the way that their stance on the issues. So let me know in the comments how you came out in this result, and whatever result you come out with is fine with me. And let me know, I don't know, if you wanted to debate any of the issues that I voted on. I would be willing to debate that in the comments with you. But a lot of them I don't really have too strong of opinions on, so I could be swayed either way. And I've actually taken this test a few times, and my percentages have come up different each time, because I had changed the slider on which ones mean more and less to me. So, but the stack rank here has been the same each time: Gary Johnson, Jill Stein, Barack Obama, and then Mitt Romney. So let me know where you came out and discuss it in the comments. I know that a lot of my viewers are not even at the voting age, and this was probably, oh my God, this is so boring. But anyone that is eligible to vote, I think you should visit this website and check it out, just to see which candidate you actually side with. So that's all I have for now, and I will talk to you later. Take it easy.